Welcome back to my park movie world. My name is Game World, and in today's episode, we will be building a dark universe style themed land inside of my theme park. So let's begin. So welcome back to another episode of Movie World. In today's episode, hopefully we get to finish this amazing town. But first, I need to get rid of this town. So I'll get back to you once I do. Now, with that being deleted, let's get into building this dark universe area, starting with the path. But before we begin, I just want to mention my Dark Universe will be a little bit different from the one at Epic Universe. Now for the path, I'm going to start it at these gates for my first meager attempt of Dark Universe. Now for the color, I'm using a dark brown with leafy grass texture, since this is the closest we got to dirt in this game. But for some odd reason, I cannot find this texture and probably have passed it twice by now. Finally, I was able to find that texture, and that took unbelievably long, and it took me more than 2 minutes to find that texture, especially when it's something that I use a lot in this game. But anyway, with that little distraction, let's move on to the rest of the pathway, by expanding the pathway around the Dark Universe area. So for the pathway, well let me go and delete the terrain here real quick guys, before we move on to the pathway. I'll be right back. So with the terrain now being moved, let me explain what I was trying to say about the pathway. For the pathway, I'm trying to shape it in a way that makes it look like you're walking through this spooky, dark forest vibe, which apparently I do not know what I'm saying. What I'm really trying to say is I'm making the path as long and as windy as possible to make it look like you're walking through some sort of dark and spooky forest. And I know currently there's no spooky forest, but you just have to trust the process and keep watching. Here I decided to expand the path this way, where eventually I was planning on placing like a werewolf style town, with some buildings that look very old and abandoned. But let me really quick finish the pathway off screen and I'll get back to you and explain what I mean. Now that I'm done with the path, let me explain to you what I'm trying to build in this area, as I'm building the rocks that go along this pathway to cover this ugly terrain. As some of you know by now, Universal Studios has opened their new park, Epic Universe, in the land of Florida, and one of the lands in Epic Universe is a Dark Universe style land that features all of Universal's monsters. In my park, I'm doing something similar, but different, since I decided to go a more creative route and build some sort of werewolf town with abandoned buildings, which obviously is something in my park, and it's not in Epic Universe. Now that you know about how I'm going to be building my Dark Universe style themed land in my park, let me get back to you once I finish placing all the rocks, so we can get to the fun stuff. Well, with the rocks now being completed in this general area, let's start by placing some scenery down, because this area is looking a bit plain, starting with using the new trees that we got in the last update. With that, we can start placing the trees down in this little area that I placed up here. I decided to place 1, 2, and 3 trees in this area. As you can see here, I'm placing the last tree down. Which, yeah, no, that's not looking that good. Let me try something else. For starters, I guess I can get rid of this tree and maybe shrink it smaller in the front here. Yeah, that probably will look a little better. But I guess you guys have to trust the process, and hopefully in the very end this will look good, because right now there's not much. Quick update. I added some more rocks down along either side of the path. Starting from up here, I led the rocks down to the split section here, as well as some rocks more along the path. Next, I'm going to be building a building over here, as well as there will be a coaster on this side of the land here. So I guess let's get into it, with a time lapse for this building. So I guess enjoy this time lapse. Now I hope you enjoyed that time lapse. As you can see here, this is just a small little cabin and I'll probably put some sort of store or something in this area, but I'm not 100% sure. Also, the vines that I placed for this building, I'll probably also change later because I feel like they can look a little better. Anyway, I also built these things. What am I saying? What I mean to say is, I also placed some more building layouts down off screen. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go into one more time lapse to build this building. And I'll try to explain the best way to build a building in any building game, whether that's Theme Park Tycoon 2, Planet Coaster 2, or even Minecraft. Well, with that, we're now in the time lapse. And for the building, I kind of start with one base color. And for this building, I kind of decided to use the floor that I placed for this building. And I'll go and fix this color later. But for now, I'm just getting the shape for the building. One of the main things that I see people making a mistake of when building buildings is that they make one big box shape. Well, when you really look at a building, it's not that at all. You want to have multiple different shapes in a building. As you can see here, I put at least like 3 or 4 different rectangles to make this shape. This, in the end, just gives the building a little more depth as well as more interest. Now, as I build the walls, I'm also going to explain the building that I'm actually building in this game. The building that I'm building is a concept picture that I found online, which is this building. And as you can see, it kind of has 3 floors, as well as different shapes and sizes and different levels, as well as this really cool tower, which I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do because I'm not that great at making like bell towers in this game. But with that, I guess I have to get with building the tower later, and get to the second step that I like doing when building a building. The second step that I like doing is painting all the walls. And for this building, I kind of decided to choose this lightish, darkish gray color. With that being finished and painted, let's move on to the third step, which is making the roofs. And I decided for this building to make it 3 sections. When building the roofs, it's basically the same steps as building the walls. First building the base layer for the roof, and then painting it second. So I'll get back to you when I have something more to say. Now comes the final step to every building, which is putting all the little details in that bring the building to life, like the windows. Now, a good tip when building little details in a building is you want different things, like windows, having a variety of windows. As you can see in my building, I have 3 different types of windows, as well as things like balconies and maybe also like window trims and pillars as well. Now right here, I'm just giving the building a little more depth, so it makes it look more interesting, and it doesn't look like a bland wall. Now here, I decided to add a balcony over the door or the entrance to this building. This gives it the final little detail this building's really needing and the interest for the building. Next, I'm going to finish all the little details real quick, so I'll get back to you once I do. Well, now that that building's done, let's move on to placing more trees down to give this area a little more life. And I want to show you something really cool that I found in this game. First, let me place this tree down though. As well as, let me move the path behind this building, which is more staff area. You may also notice that the back of that building, or one of the buildings, is not finished yet. This is because I'm not 100% sure of what's going here yet. Now what I want to show you guys is I found a very cool way to make fog effect in this game. So let me show you how I did it. For starters, let me grab the new trees that we got in this game and move it over to this empty area over here. Next, what I decided to do is place 3 trees down, because this is what fits in this area. Obviously, when you're building this in your park, you want to place the amount of trees that fit well for your park. Next, I grabbed some of the new bushes that we got in this game and made it as dense as possible to cover the fog emitters that emit the fog look. After I placed the bushes, I then gave some of the bushes a little brown look to make it look like it's more of a dead bush. After this, I then grabbed some lights to give the fog a little bit of a glow. For the light, I decided to place 3 down. However, at night, I'm not 100% sure if this will look too bright. So, if you're building this in your park, you kinda have to do a little bit of experimenting to get it right. After the lights have been placed, I then go for the smoke emitter and I place the 5th smoke emitter down. For the smoke emitter, you want to change the colors from gray to white. And I did this by using the extra colors. As you can see here, I chose the white color from the extra colors, but you can also do this with the basic colors here. I just feel the extra colors give the color a little more life. Anyway, with that, I'm going to build the rest off screen and I'll get back to you once I'm done. So here's what I did off screen. As you can see here, this is the entrance to the area. Off screen, I kinda added rocks along the path to hide the ugly terrain. In this empty spot over here, I'll be placing a coaster, which I'll probably build in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. Now, as we go up this path, it takes you to the town that I built in this episode, which I'll be calling Untold Village. Starting with this building, which I built with a time lapse, and moving over here, I also built this building, which I built off screen. Off screen, I also built the rest of the fog effect, as well as placed the rest of the trees down. The other thing that I built off screen is this wall that I placed behind these trees to kinda hide the stuff that I have behind this dark universe area and the rest of my park. Also, most of the buildings that I built are empty and have no interior in it yet. I'm not 100% sure of what I'm going to place here, but I know I'm going to put a restaurant and maybe some sort of store, but I'm not sure yet. Let me know down in the comments if you have some ideas. I would like to know. Now leading back down this path, this basically just leads you back to the main entrance to this area. And that's pretty much all I have built in this area so far. But I'm afraid that is all I have time for this video. I hope you enjoyed what I built behind me. And in the next episode, hopefully I get to build some amazing coasters. I also want to mention that I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be after this Theme Park Tycoon 2 episode or the next episode of Theme Park Tycoon 2, but somewhere along the lines of those episodes, I'll be building my first Planet Coaster 2 series, where I'll be building my first theme park inside of Planet Coaster 2. So look forward for those episodes as well. But I guess, until then, bye for now.